out to all of the candidates and said, if you win, we want you on Tuesday. And so for the chair candidates, and then we followed up after the election. And so we have this new leadership team from the local GOP here on the program today to find out why they ran, what their vision is, what their goals are, and how they're going to take on this party that has been very controversial here over the past many years. People would say even the plans are in order to build up their party in the county. So Kendrick Davis, Saundra, Larsen, and Sheila Lapora, welcome to the Peak News.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we want to invite you to participate in what we're doing here and to become, well, so many things that you can do here at the Peak. You can be a citizen journalist. Yes, we don't just report the news, but we depend on you to do it. We also have interns. And of course, we have sponsors. We set out early on to make sure that we were diverse in the sponsorship of the show. And actually, full disclosure, Saundra Larsen and her husband Peter are sponsors of the Peak News. And thank you for doing that, Saundra. Thank you for supporting what we're doing here and helping to bring this to the people of El Paso County and the Pikes Peak region. And we didn't want there to be, as you know, in the news, it basically got bought and paid for by very large moneyed entities. And so we just have small business owners in our area who are sponsors of the program. And of course, we have guests. And we don't just have on people who are known, but anybody who is really making an impact in our region, we love to have on. And so on Mondays, we do business and culture. Tuesdays, government and politics. Wednesdays are faith and family. And then media and education on Thursdays. And that way, that forces us to cover the whole region. So what are we going to be doing on today's show? Well, you know, we've just been through the elections. The elections just never seem to end. There always seems to be some kind of election cycle going on, and those who oversee that in this county, at least from the Republican side, is the local GOP. It's the dominant party in our county. And so the decisions that are made by the leadership team and by those who are in the executive committee and those who are precinct leaders really have a major effect on the elections. There's a lot of stuff that you don't even know about. By the time you actually get to putting in your ballot, there have been a lot of decisions made. You don't maybe even know about precincts. You don't know about assembly. You don't know how the candidates get picked or even how they get on the ballot. Well, these are all things that the people in the party are dealing with all the time. And you maybe want to get more involved. So don't think that this isn't for you. It absolutely is, regardless of your politics. We'll be right back. Okay, cool. So we'll go Kendrick, then Saundra, then Sheila. You'll have about 3 minutes. Are we streaming? We're streaming.
Yes.
Hey, Facebook and YouTube. So just time cues and things like that. If you see me hold up a finger or two, I'm giving you a time budget, so don't think I'm telling you to stop talking. Like, so, wait a minute.
That's
so
1 minute?
That's 1 minute or 2 minutes
okay.
To do that. If you ever see this, that means wrap it up. You have about 10 or 15 seconds. I need it back. If you ever hear music, that means I have 30 seconds to the commercial. I gotta have it back. And otherwise, first of all, these are very close on the pickup pattern, so if you can articulate it to be right in front, it can come from underneath, but you should be about 2 inches off of it, trying to speak into basically into the tip of it. Good radio is people having a conversation that's lively. It's sort of voyeuristic, like listening in at a coffee shop when there's an interesting conversation. But it also shrinks you down because we don't have facial expressions, we don't have body language. So it's good to have an over-the-top sort of presence. It'll feel a little unnatural, but when you hear yourself on the other end, it'll sound normal. If you do normal, it sounds sleepy on the other side. And then otherwise, all emotion has to come through your voice. So, poignant pauses or, whatever. It's think radio theater, because if it doesn't get into your voice, it stays here.
Yeah.
And so that's the medium that you're working with. So I like to remind people of that so you can communicate as effectively as possible. You'll see me, I talk with my hands, but I know it has to go through the mic. You know, it has to come out as an emotional, vocalized emotion, whatever you do. But that's it. So just keep it up. And if you ever see me do this, it just means I think your energy is a little low. Just pick it up. You don't have to do volume because the booth will control that. But just the passion of it. Okay, we have about 2 more minutes. So any questions or thoughts? By the way, we're always on Facebook. So even in the break, we're not offline. So I just want to remind you of that. So, hi Facebook, thanks for joining us. How did things go on Saturday? Overall,
it was a long day.
I saw that.
It went well. And, you know, we in that first round of votes, we saw a pretty established pattern. We had a pretty good idea where it was going. We then had 3 people step out, and that would have been Tim, Candace, and Todd, and that left the other 3 of us, myself, Kobe, and Elizabeth. And then the second round of voting, I had 235, and I don't actually remember what Kobe had.
180.
I knew it was like 50.
Oh, 50.
I knew it was a little over 50 votes.
So you got about 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth got 6, but she had 4 in the first round, and so yeah, no, it was. And then the ladies stepped up, and
Right. I also went to a second count, and in the end, I had 40 more than the next person on the first round, and she closed in a little bit on me, Shanna Black. I only had 25 more than her in the end of the second count, but it was clear that I was the leader.
Okay, but things seem to run overall smoothly?
Oh,
Yeah,
very smoothly.
Okay.
Very smoothly.
Cool. Okay, we're back in 10. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to us on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer, and that music usually precedes our headline segment, as we always like to dig into the media and how they want to go for, the dirty laundry and things. And sometimes we bring that up. We are seeking to bring media accountability to our whole region, but because we have 3 guests on today and we have so much to cover that we're skipping over the headlines segment. And what we're doing today in this Government and Politics Tuesday is we have the newly elected leadership team of the El Paso County Republican Party, Kendrick Davis, Chair, Saundra Larsen, Vice Chair, and Sheila Lapora, Secretary, all freshly elected just on Saturday. And we grabbed them up to bring them in here, and we're going to be asking them questions about what they plan to do as they take the helm of our local Republican Party. But in this section, we wanted to spend some time to get to know the candidates, and we'll start with Kendrick Davis as chair. Give us some information about your background, Ken, that relates to this new role as chair of the Republican Party here, and why did you seek the office?
well, oddly enough, I was going to start with a joke, but
Okay, hey,
thought
it's your time.
not right to start with a line from The Jerk.
Okay.
If you've never seen that
Okay.
movie. It was born. Never mind.
Okay.
All right, so
And you were.
I know.
I didn't know if you were going to talk about your special purpose.
Yeah, no.
Okay, not that line.
No, not that line. So, I began operating in what we would call this patriot space back in 2010. Joined one of the Tea Party movements. Shortly after that, began teaching classes on the Constitution. That began in 2012. Been doing that 3 to 4 times a year since 2012. Most of you heard me on this radio show before. I'm also a leader of the Culture Impact Team at Church for All Nations, and then I was the House District Chair for House District 15, which was Scott Bottom's House District. And honestly, when I decided to run, it truly was because the Lord told me to run. And I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. And I believe the Lord spoke to me and said, run for this position. I had it had never even crossed my mind. It was never a thought
Really?
to be, no, never gave a thought to being chair of the El Paso County GOP. Um, and shortly after I made my decision, it was my assumption that I would be running against the existing chair. And so I did the right thing, and I reached out to her to let her know, and the relief was real. You know, she thanked me, and so here we are now, a month and a half after that conversation, after multiple conversations with the powers that be and those that are in multiple positions here in El Paso County. But the last man standing on Saturday was myself. Great turnout. Lots of voters chimed in, and the people have spoken, and they were resounding in what they said. So I'm glad to be here.
How did you feel things were conducted on Saturday?
So-
Because I know it can be mayhem at these things.
Yeah, and it can be. You know, the meetings that day is generally very long. I still have to run my House District meeting as well, and so that went, you know, late into the evening. But the meeting was what it was. It was, if you don't come there with your snacks and water and unprepared, you're probably going to be, you know, you're probably going to feel like it was longer than you wanted it to be. But we expect that if we've been part of these for any number.
Were there food trucks?
There were food trucks.
Now are you
Rocco's.
now are you still
Rocco.
do you still represent the district or the precinct?
So no, in our House District breakout, we elected new leadership for House District 15, and so Gordon Klinger-Schmidt will be the new chair for House District 15, and the vice chair and secretary were retained.
Gordon was, I think, like the first or second person I met when I came to this county.
I can believe
Strange enough.
He gets around.
Saundra Larsen, new vice chair of the party. Give us your background as far as relates to this office, and why did you decide to run?
Well, just like Ken, I wasn't planning on it. Maybe closer.
You-
Just like Ken, I wasn't planning on it. I was very much happy just being out in rural eastern Colorado, but I saw a need, and I had been praying for somebody, a godly man, to stand up to be chair, and I thought I could align with him as the vice chair. We are very much on the same page. In fact, all three of us are very much on the same page. How our vision is for what's going to happen here in El Paso County. I had ran because the Lord had called me to run for State Board of Education. Many of you can remember that. I ran for that thinking that I was going to be on the State Board of Education, but apparently the Lord wanted to get me out there so that people could meet me and know who I am and see what I was passionate about and what I stood for. And so that, I think, is what aided in me being able to be the vice chair. I saw where we needed to go, and I saw how I could do things just slightly differently and would make a huge difference. And of course, I'm always going to defer to the chair. But I have a lot of background, and I have a lot of businesses that I've run, and I was in the military. I understand leadership and leadership roles, and I'm not sure what else you want to.
Yeah. Well, what do you understand as the role of the vice chair?
In the bylaws, the role of the vice chair is to do exactly what the chair tells them to do.
Or her.
Them.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah. Him or her.
Whatever pronoun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whatever.
So just supporting, it's a complete support position.
Right, and that's why it's important that we're on the same page.
Okay. What about as far as advisory, you know, to each other? I mean, how do you feel, how do you see the fit?
Oh, well, we had conversation this morning, and I shared my ideas, and a lot of them he was very excited about, and there was one place where he's like, well, I kind of see this one a little bit different, and we agreed to disagree. Like normal, reasonable people.
But Ken gets to make the decision.
He is the chair. That is his job.
Now, I had heard originally when Ken decided to run that there was maybe a slate that you were both on, and then that didn't happen. Was that true? Was there ever a point where you two were going to run as a slate?
We
Or that was
talked
just a
about
We
it.
talked about it.
We
Okay.
talked about it, but we didn't.
But
honestly.
it's interesting that the people voted you in separately, and so
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
and so now you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Sheila, Lapora, secretary.
Yes.
What's your background as far as it relates to this newly elected position, and why did you run?
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Colorado Springs. And when I went to school, I never knew about caucus. I never knew about assembly. I didn't know about the Central Committee. I knew nothing about that. I was just a faithful voter. And then as I learned more, I got more involved. So in 2012, I discovered the caucus and assembly system. And then in 2020, I found out about the Central Committee meetings and getting involved in party leadership. And that's when I got more involved. Well, I started volunteering in the El Paso County GOP. And when the position came up and to run for secretary, this time I decided to run. The first few years, I really just wanted to focus on learning. I didn't do a lot of talking. I did my responsibility and showed up for meetings, but I didn't participate in this stuff previously. So I've been already working in the office for helping with the secretary and doing whatever the chair needed. And it turns out I'm pretty good at doing those things. And so I decided to do it because being a secretary or even the chair, there's a lot of work that has to get done. And people may have things that they want to do, but they also need to understand that we have bylaws that govern us. It's not like being a secretary in a corporation because we're governed by our bylaws and state statute and all that. So that's when I kind of started to get involved.
So what are the primary duties of that role? We have about 30 seconds.
There's a lot of clerical things. You have to prepare for caucus, assembly, central committee meetings, executive committee meetings. So there's a lot that's involved all the time.
Okay, and there is no elected treasurer.
Correct.
What, do you just have a bookkeeper? I mean, you hire a bookkeeper?
We're gonna work on that. We're gonna talk to the last one and see what we come up with
Okay.
as a team.
You're listening to The Peak on Government and Politics Tuesday. We have the new elected leadership of the El Paso County Republican Party. When we come back, new chair Ken Davis is going to talk about a vision for the golden age of El Paso County. We'll be right back.
Next segment is how long?
5 minutes, I think
Is
that's
it
you.
5 minutes?
I think it's, yeah, 5 minutes,
That sounds right.
and then the next one's 12.
So, hey, we normally, not on this next segment, but the next one, we do a shout out to a sponsor.
Mhm.
You want to do it like a live All-Star Electric 20 second promo for your
Is that,
show?
Peter will feel better.
Peter will
He's
feel better,
here.
but as the vice chair.
I know, but
is that-
I'll couch it. I'll say no, these are people in our community, they own businesses,
He already
they've been
mentioned
here.
that to you.
So we always do a sponsor shout out here, and we have one of our sponsors here, give you, it's something we do that's fun, and I understand how it might seem inappropriate, but by me saying that, I'll say, can I put you on the spot? How about I say that? And then you.
Okay,
and then
because I don't want people to, because I can see people already coming and saying, see, she only wanted to be vice chair so that she can get more business. So that's why I'm trying
I
to
would not
hold.
worry about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Here, whether or not they feel that way,
Mhm.
as a business owner, a small business owner, every opportunity you get to
Right.
plug your business, you should take.
I thought you did it so you can retire on your paycheck. then
You're
buy
right.
a
Paycheck.
Right.
It's a negative balance right now. Yeah, I
Yes.
was gonna go into like a
That's
whole
why
detail
people-
about
that's
how
why
it got
people
involved,
take-
but I'm saving that for the end.
Yes, that's why people take volunteer positions that take up,
Yeah.
they're all their time.
To get
It's
wealthy.
For money, to get wealthy, of course.
Well, apparently
That's
some
why-
people do. So that's,
Well, they figure it out, but
Yeah.
not through their business.
we haven't figured that out yet.
And neither have I.
What am I gonna say? Should I give my phone number? What do I do?
Websites, best.
Also electric.com, what, ASEYourlight.com.
Okay, you wanna just make some, it's not for like another 10 minutes, so if you wanna make some notes or whatever. But I think it's just fun. I mean,
Okay.
bottom line is the people who, especially in our first year, when it's like, who are you and what are you doing, that got behind us and paid our bills, thank you. Like, you're providing this service, so it's another thing you're doing for the community, just like now. So, yeah, we have to break all that kind of stuff. It's all the people who don't do anything
Yeah.
that say
That's
that.
right.
Anybody who's out there doing anything never criticizes stuff like that. They're like, hey, you're on the radio and you're getting a chance to mention your business, go for it.
And I'm totally in agreement.
I always do that with my guests. That's part of it. You're giving up your time to give us content on today, right?
We need to see if people are using this against us.
That's okay.
If you say it's okay. He's the
I
chair.
will,
I'm
I
deferring.
will,
He'll set it up.
I'll
so there's-
set it up so it's
Okay.
clean. But that's all, but every time we have guests on who are sponsors, I very clearly say, you know, full disclosure, you know, this is, because that's the thing, this thing of unbiased news, there's no such thing.
Right.
What you have to know is what is the bias of the person giving it, just like we do with every human being, right? Every human being, the information is coming from where? And that's this neutral news BS that doesn't happen. But if people know this is the deal, this person is this, and they're giving their opinion, then we decide how to filter the info. Welcome back to the Peak News, where we say the quiet stuff out loud, and no, we don't lie to you. That's the job of the mainstream media, and we decided to break that. And what we do is, you know, for the most part, is we bring on guests. We ask them questions, and they answer, and then you get to decide what the truth is. That's the way the media is supposed to be. I've found in doing this professionally, people say they don't want to be told what to think, but you all want to be told what to think. And I don't want to tell you what to think. I want to give you information, put it in proper context, and you be the purveyor of truth for yourself, because I'm not making decisions for your life. And so don't give media that role. We should stay in our lane, and that's what we seek to do here. And we encourage you to say the quiet stuff out loud. And we have here people who do say the quiet stuff out loud. Our new elected leadership of the El Paso County Republican Party, Kendrick Davis, Saundra Larsen, and Sheila Lapora. And now Kendrick Davis, the new chair of the party, is going to talk about a vision for the golden age of El Paso County. Kendrick Davis.
Well, it's going to begin with everyone loving the 3 new officers. They're going to love us. They're going to want to embrace us, hug us, and kiss on us. Probably not, but that's okay. We're still going to put in the work, and we're going to see great things happen here in El Paso County, and that's going to begin with us engaging those who are currently active. We want to give people an opportunity and an avenue to really work out what is their greatest passion, right? We've got people in this county that are passionate about election integrity. They're passionate about what's happening up there in the Golden Dome. You know, they want to be able to expose as many people to the things that they're passionate about. And we're going to create an environment where, with committees that allow people to act out their passions in this political realm, right? So we're going to, that when we bring those people closer to us and give them that opportunity, they're going to go out and become our army for us, right? They're going to go out and promote us. The party, those who are currently in the party are now going to go out and begin recruiting for us. Of course, the next thing we want to do is fill up any empty precinct seats. We'll begin a campaign by soliciting the current division leaders. And again, long story, if you don't know what that is, we're going to get the division leaders really active in helping work with the current precinct leaders to get out and help us grow this party. I talked about it on Saturday. In the year 2020, our party grew by over 10,000 registered Republicans. And then between 2021 and 2023, we shrunk by almost 15,000. And at the end of the day, that's on all of us. That's on every member that happened. And so now we're going to take those that are still here, we're going to get them to help us grow this party back. And those who don't get on the bus, I'm just telling you now, you may want to get on the bus. But if you don't get on the bus, you're going to get left behind, because we are going to do the things that we've said we were going to do. And it starts with us finding ways to work together. Let's do that first, so we have some place for people to land that is soft and not come into what they think is just a dysfunctional kind of mob mentality arena. Let's make it appealing to more people.
So what does the golden age of El Paso County look like to you from this chair position of the Republican Party?
I didn't say it earlier. Everybody's loving us. No. What does it look like? It looks like us taking the registered Republicans and bringing that up to about 180,000. I believe we have, with all the over 200,000 unaffiliated voters, we have the bodies there, and we've lost some people along the way, like I mentioned, and they left because they saw something that they didn't think was a place that embraced them. And so we're going to embrace them, and then we're going to get a bunch of these unaffiliated voters to re-register as Republicans. And then we're going to show the full force of we're going to unleash everything that El Paso County has to offer to the Republican Party.
Okay, you've been listening to Ken Davis, new chair of the El Paso County Republican Party, talking about his vision for the golden age. When we come back, Kendrick Davis, as well as Saundra Larsen, vice chair, and Sheila Lapora, secretary, are going to be talking about their goals and unity in the Republican Party here in El Paso County. Ooh, we'll be right back. This is just a 2-minute break.
You ready to plug? You ready to plug All-Star?
Play All-Star?
Plug
Ready to plug
All-Star.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So just
How
about
long? 10 seconds? 20 seconds?
10 to 20 seconds. That's fine. That's fine. That's what our shout-outs normally, are 10, 15 seconds, 20. I mean, since you're doing it yourself, you have more info. Plus, they'll hear your commercial run during the program, too. So, not sure where it is on today, but we mix them around.
Okay. And then this next 12 minutes, I'm trying to figure out, I'm a little bit lost where we are.
Well, we're on page 4,
Yeah.
segment 4. Yes.
Do you want a gym rat?
Yes.
Leadership
Do
team.
do we have one that's appropriate?
We do
have
not.
one What?
We do not.
We don't have anything.
We do not. I'm bringing him in Thursday and Friday to record.
He
my
was here
segment.
yesterday. He just never tells me when he's coming in. So you would prefer we don't do that? We'll just, you know what, because he's running and everything, let's leave him out of it.
Sure.
Okay, we'll take more time.
Cool.
Okay, we're back in a minute. So by the way, we're not going to do, we just decided not to do a gym rap in segment 5, so we actually have a full 7.5 minutes on that staying engaged. So it's not just 4 to 5. It's so think about another layer of you can go a little, you can drill a little deeper on things that you're going to do, actual programs or things that people can get involved in. But I would ask you, I know it's not your wheelhouse, but talk about everybody being involved, even if they're Democrat. I don't know that they're listening to the show, but just people getting involved in the process
Local problem.
and what it means. And I mean, I tell people all the time, I think elections are being stolen. I put out a voter guide. Like, you can't disengage. So just overall encouraging.
Sheila,
Okay.
you talked about caucus earlier. You want to take that piece?
Well, the thing is I've kind of written a book about getting people engaged. Yeah,
So
that's
do
what
you
my
wanna
book
take
is
that?
about.
Okay.
So,
So yes, you want to
yeah,
take it?
I don't know if I should plug my book that's not out yet, but,
Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer, and we are spending the hour with the new leadership of the El Paso County Republican Party. And I should have said this at the beginning of the program. I always forget about it because I actually don't think of myself as a political person, and people laugh at me because I put out a voter guide, but really the voter guide, church voter guides, which I'll do a plug for because we're gearing that up for the city council election, it's really journalistic. It's the same thing I'm doing here. We interview the candidates and through text, them writing their answers, and we put it out there. But I will say this, I'm not a registered Republican or Democrat. I consider myself a leave me alone libertarian is what I say. I'm unaffiliated, but I am a small government conservative. So you know where I'm coming from, but a lot of people assume I'm on here pushing the Republican Party. I'm not. We're just here, putting that on. And by the way, if the leadership of the El Paso County Democrat Party would come on, as we've invited them to in the past, that would be awesome. We would have them on too. So another invitation, we're putting it out publicly. So we normally at the beginning of the segment do some kind of shout out to one of our sponsors. And as I mentioned, because we always do full transparency, All Star Electric, which Saundra Larsen and her husband Peter own. Peter's an electrician. And so rather than me doing the shout out, and I'm putting Saundra on the spot here, to do a little mini live read ad for All Star Electric.
off the top of my head,
Hey,
right?
go for it.
Well,
I
Back
gave
in
you a
2000
I gave you a little warning, not much.
back in 2006, my husband and I started All Star Electric Incorporated, and we've been running it faithfully. It's been our main source of income. And I just want to let you know that we have branched out into solar and appliances the last few years.
Appliance repair. Yeah.
Yes, appliance repair. Yes, yes. And so people get confused and they think that we sell electricity, but we don't. We just fix your electricity. So All Star Electric, you can look us up at aseyourlight.com.
Okay, and thank you so much again, as we thank all of our sponsors, because they actually do create electricity and keep the lights on here for this and provide this to you. So just as a way that Saundra and Peter, who's a friend of mine, are helping to support, and neighbors. So we are here again with Kendrick Davis, Saundra Larsen, and Sheila Lapora, who are the new elected heads as of Saturday of the El Paso County Republican Party. Let's start off. What are the goals? What are your goals as a leadership team?
And everyone looks at me. Okay.
You're the chair.
So I've already, yeah, no doubt. I've already talked about one, right? We want to grow the party. 100. I don't think it's an impossibility to get to 180,000 registered Republicans here in El Paso County. This is the largest red county in the state. We should be leading the way, and we're going to do so by growing first and foremost. The other thing is with who we already have that is active in the party, right? So we've got our precinct leaders, our division leaders. We've got our different leadership teams within each House district, and we really need to have those people more engaged, right? I was House District Chair 15 and didn't know my job. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to present more training for people at these lower positions to better understand what they are doing so they can help us grow the party. That's first. Then, of course, fundraising. One of the things that I learned a couple days ago was what's in the bank, and I decided this party will not get passed over to a new leadership team 2 years, 4 years from now, whatever the case may be, without a year's worth of expenses in the bank. So I need all of you that are listening and watching on Facebook to help us out with that. But we're also going to reach out. We've got, there's big money donors here in town. We're gonna start reaching out to these people and seeing if they'll support this golden age with their pocketbooks.
Was there any other comment, or move on to the next? Let's move on to the next. Let's talk about unity. Talk about how you plan to work together in unity as a leadership team, and how will you encourage unity in what's known as a very divisive Republican Party here in El Paso County. Saundra?
Well, the truth is, it's not as divided as it seems. There's just a few people, a handful of people really, that have been making a big ruckus. We've all agreed that if we have any differing opinions about anything, or any internal conflict, that we're going to solve it internally. We're going to talk to each other about these things. We're going to work things out.
You're not going to call me?
I'm not going to call you,
and
honey.
say I want to get you on a microphone?
I'm not going to call
Oh,
you.
man.
I am not going to call the Gazette.
I don't know if I support this.
I'm
He wants to
sorry.
scoop. He wants to scoop.
But you know what? I will call you, and we're going to do something great.
Okay, awesome. Give me the scoop on that. How are you as a team? I mean, you didn't run as a slate. You were elected separately. So how do you do that? How do you work together? And because in politics it can get heated.
Well, it starts with your values, right? And so all of our values are, we believe strongly, first of all, in our faith. We are all people of faith.
Yep.
Second of all, we all believe strongly in the Republican platform, specifically the 2016 Republican platform. And we believe that it's most important that we get leaders and candidates that stick to the platform. I think that's one of the reasons we lost so many people, is because we had wishy-washy, trying to find middle of the road candidates. And so, but we all have the same stance on that. We want strong candidates that stick to our values. I don't know where else I was going.
Okay, well, let's talk about, you have the county party, you have the state party. How will the relationship between the state and the county parties be handled moving forward? We have, Dave Williams is still the chair of the state party.
Yeah, and not knowing what's going to happen here in the next couple months, because there is an election at the state level. But I will say this, and I get asked about these relationships that I have all the time. Listen, I am friendly with a lot of people. Dave Williams is one of them. Probably more friendly in a way that I can have civil discourse with Dave Williams, and I have. Right? There's been times that we didn't agree, and I've always been open and vocal with him. And that's the way, as Saundra talked about earlier, right? We're going to handle things internally. I think, first of all, biblically, that's how it should be handled. So I've always gone to Dave with my concerns. That's not going to change. And if he's got a concern, he knows he can come to me. That's not going to change. And whoever gets elected, if it's him again here in the upcoming election, we have to find a way to work with the state. We have to partner together. So it doesn't matter to me who's in that seat. We're going to partner with them. We're going to find a way to further this party together, because we're simply just better together either way it goes. And you look across the state, I mean 64 counties, that's 64 county chairs, and then you've got the state. And if we aren't all moving in the same direction, we don't have to see eye to eye, but we do need to start walking hand in hand. And I don't care who's sitting in that seat, we're going to work together.
So there's been, and this was a real controversy over the last couple of years, picking Republican candidates in the primaries and then not necessarily supporting candidates, or there's been accusations by candidates of not being supported. What is the official position of the Republican Party now on these two fronts?
The stance is no different than it was a week ago. We're going to follow the bylaws.
Which are?
Currently the bylaws say that we do not pick and choose, or we don't endorse a candidate in going into the primary, and after the primary election we support whoever the candidate is that comes out of the primary. If the bylaws change, and by the way, that's going to be a decision of the entirety of the body, not one person, and it should not be one person. The bylaws change, we're going to follow the bylaws.
So does this mean the bylaws were not being followed?
Don't know.
Before?
Listen,
in the previous election.
Listen, if someone was not following the bylaws before, that has zero to do with me.
Okay. So let's talk about, in the couple minutes we have left, your first agenda items. We saw Donald Trump hit the ground running and do maybe more than some presidents have done in 4 years in 2 weeks. What are your plans now that you're bringing your team together? What are the first agenda items?
Just me. All right.
I have an opinion. I have an opinion.
And again, if you're just tuning in, we have Kendrick Davis, new chair of the El Paso County Republican Party, Saundra Larsen, vice chair, and Sheila Lapora, secretary. And I guess it's back to you, Ken.
Back to me.
What are your agenda items?
We're
Yeah,
gonna do
so
fundraising.
we had this discussion earlier today. I've kind of been out of the loop since the election, but we are going to, in essence, small meet and greets. We'll use that as also an opportunity to fundraise. We want those members that are in the party to get to know us, right? We want to give people an opportunity to get to know us. I say all the time, I can make up anything about anyone, but I can't make up things about people I've grown a relationship with. And so we want people to grow in their relationship with us because we are the county leadership now. So you're going to deal with us one way or the other. You may as well get to know us and see where we can find common ground.
Okay, anything else?
But
I know you just got elected.
yeah, I talked about the committees earlier, so
Yeah, yesterday and today was working on computers, but he's talked about having committees and getting people involved more. They may not be an elected position, but they're very important positions. We want to get the word out specifically with things that are happening up in the Capitol. We want to increase the voter registrations. We've got the El Paso County Fair coming up, where we're going to try to get people to be able to meet their representatives there at the fair. And I haven't talked to them. Please call me. And of course we have the Lincoln Day dinner to be thinking about, and bringing people together. There was some stuff that happened in the past that we want to move on from that, and we want to just embrace everybody and pull everybody in.
Okay. Well, the website is gopelpaso.com, gopelpaso.com. You've been listening to the new leadership of the El Paso County Republican Party, Kendrick Davis, Saundra Larsen, and Sheila Lapora. When we come back, as we like to do at the end of the show, is always a call to action, because I don't like passive listeners. Everybody here has run for office, they're getting active, this isn't a paid position. We cannot disengage. We must stay engaged regardless of our politics, regardless of anything that we are. This is our community. So when we come back here on the Peak, we're going to talk about why it's so important to stay engaged. We'll be right back. Okay, this is a 3-minute break. Cool?
Sorry, you seemed like you were tired.
Oh, no, thank you.
Okay, we gotta hear from you. You came
Yes.
here and
Yes,
we've
she's
hardly,
good.
so is
I've
this
just
your,
been sitting
is
here
this your,
thinking-
shot? Is this your,
This
like,
is her segment.
this is your, you're gonna lead this one?
I think I am,
Okay.
because I mentioned that I wrote my book, which is not published yet, so I don't know if I should mention it or not.
Yeah, always promote. You can never go bad promoting
Okay,
something.
because my entire book is about explaining to people why there's so much discord in politics, and really it's about different worldviews. And I've really noticed over these last few years that we're really in a war between good and evil. And when we see our worldview differently, it makes all the difference in the world, and it stirs up so much strife when you have such different
Opposing views.
different personal views as far as, do you have a relationship with God? Do you see things this way? So I talk about that in my book. It's 7 sections and 17 chapters, and I talk about that. I have what I call golden nuggets for deeper digging, where I bring up.
But is this nonpartisan, the book? I mean, will it
Yeah,
apply to everybody?
I've actually
Okay.
tried to make it nonpartisan enough that the Democrats can stomach it. They still may want to throw up periodically, but it won't be. I'm trying to make it so that they can say, hey, this is how the political system works. If you get engaged in it, because there's someone who says nobody understands the political system. I grew up here and I didn't understand the political system, so that's why I wrote.
Specifically how Colorado works and everything.
Right.
It talks about Colorado, but I try to also make it where I use Colorado as an example, where people can take their political system, however they do it, and have.
So you can message however you want, obviously, but I'm hoping this to be more community building regardless of party in the,
Yeah,
in
and
this
that's
segment.
how I've done it.
But fair enough, you represent the Republican Party, you can answer. I don't wanna
Right.
color it, I just wanna say sort of the direction that we like to do it, cause not that I don't, we're getting surprised how many people of different backgrounds are listening to the show because we're doing what we're doing. It breaks it's breaking the mold of the, conservative news talk radio, so.
It's also
happy with
breaking
that.
the mind control that they're doing over people with the news media.
Right, and also our main thing is if we can talk about stuff civilly, you can too.
Right.
To me, it's more encouraging people to have civil conversations with
Right.
their families. We need to start talking again after all these years of cancel culture
Leaving
and
stuff in the
political
past.
correctness and building a community back. That's what we're trying to play here, so. Okay, so you'll take the lead, but we have 7.5 minutes and we'll see where we end up.
Okay.
Okay.
My mic, I keep going close because it sounds weird in my headset.
Well, it is close, you wanna be close. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're joining us on Government and Politics Tuesday here on AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer, and we have the newly elected leadership team of the El Paso County Republican Party, Kendrick Davis, Chair, Saundra, Larsen, Vice Chair, and Sheila, Lapora, Secretary. And in this segment, and we're not doing a Jim rant today, we're giving this whole time to this final topic here, which is staying engaged. And for years, I mean, I'll just tell a quick story. Years ago, when I learned about how things work here with the precinct and assembly system, because I do a voter guide called Church Voter Guides, which will be coming out for the city council election, is I got to present to everybody at the road men's breakfast about getting involved in this and the system. And there were like 120 guys from the room, this was 4 years ago, went and participated in the assembly process. When that came around again, and I went to talk to them, nobody was interested. And I said, and I was like, and they came up to me, and they said, you wanna know what's going on? And they said, you sent us there 4 years ago, and the candidates we wanted, people petitioned on, it didn't work, and I looked at them, I said, I think the elections may be stolen, I do a voter guide. You just found out about the problem and you're gonna quit? You just found out. Like, it's a problem that's been going on for, 100 years. You just found out about it. And that is the state of most people. And so we want to all be here, whether it's in media or politics or business or working with the children in your neighborhood, whatever it is, be part of the community and stay engaged. I hope that you're encouraged by what's going on in the country right now, that when you stay engaged, even when things seem dark, we can turn it around because we, the people, are the government. We, the people, are everything. So want to put it out to, I'll start with Sheila, who's the new secretary. What do you say to people when they say, it's not worth it, it's all rigged, it's not worth my time? What do you say? What is your appeal?
I say that not being involved automatically makes us lose. When we walk away, we lose. And so we as a country, we have to stand up, stand firm, and stand up for what we believe in, and we have to do what we know to do. And I know a lot of people get discouraged. Hey, I have my days when I get discouraged. Last year was a very hard year in many ways. But you know what? I decided to run for secretary, and here I am. And so I highly recommend people to get involved, stay involved, even when things don't go your way. I'm extremely passionate about it. I have been so passionate about this that I've actually written a book that is hopefully to be published in the next few months that explains why there's so much strife in politics, and then people can know more about what's going on. And if you understand what the undercurrent is, it opens your eyes and you learn so much. And then it gives you the encouragement and the strength to fight and carry on even when you want to give up. There's so many ways to get involved in the local politics. It doesn't matter if you're watching what the elected officials are doing at the State House. It doesn't matter if you're working in a campaign. There's always something someone can do. They say that about 10% of the people do 90% of the work. Could you imagine how much more successful we would be if we all stayed engaged and got participating in these things? This is a passion of mine, and this was a passion. I started writing my book 2 years ago, and now I'm in the final stages of getting it ready to get published and turned into an actual physical book.
What's the title?
It's going to be called Let's Talk Politics, Engaging the Precinct Strategy. No, it's Activating the Precinct Strategy to Drain the Swamp. I've changed it a few times.
Well, you can still, but now you have to finish it. Now you
Yeah,
have to publish
absolutely.
it. So let's talk about that, the involvement, because this is how Colorado works on both the Democrat and Republican side. Talk about precincts, because that is the smallest form of government outside your family. That is the smallest form of government that we have here. So we'd like to take that on.
Well, I will take that on because
This is Saundra Larsen.
Saundra Larsen, because I am a precinct leader, 524 out in Peyton, and in 2020 I got upset and I said, you know what, I've had enough. I think we're being lied to. I think they aren't doing what we asked them to do, and I said, get out of the way. I'm coming in. I'm going to take over as a precinct leader because I saw that there was a problem and it wasn't being solved. And when I came in, I said, look, we all are on the same page, but there are those of us who are willing to work for it and those that aren't. The caucus is the very first place. When people say, we don't have a voice, we don't have a voice. You don't have a voice because you don't go to caucus. Caucus is the voice. It is the one place in all of government that your voice is the loudest. So when I, as a precinct leader, I took out of my own pocket, because it's a volunteer position, and I went and I purchased signs to let people know where our caucus was going to be. I found a place that would be quiet and not too loud and noisy so that we could actually have a conversation. And we elected, I was elected as precinct leader, but we also elected delegates from that point. And what we do is we pick people, how do you see the world? What is your worldview that you talked about earlier? And you pick people that line up with your worldview, and you choose them to be delegates, and those delegates are the ones that pick the candidates at the assembly. The caucus is the very beginning. That's the most important thing in how our party runs. And if you want to get involved and you want to have your voice heard, that's the place to get it heard.
Okay, Ken, we have about a minute left.
Yeah,
in the show, as the new chair, how do you want to finish off, addressing people as you start your term?
So I would tell people this, in 2020, so much conversation around that election and what happened. We could question 2022 primaries as well if we wanted to. But I told people who were at that point where they were saying, you know what, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter anymore. because it's all rigged. And I said, how did you figure that out? You figured it out because so many people showed up. That's how you figured out something's wrong. It was the trigger point for a lot of people. And I'm telling you, if you want to fix what you think is wrong, precinct leader is the easiest point of entry. Now definitely get involved. We want to see you. You got to be registered as a Republican or a Democrat in order to do so.
Okay, you're listening to The Peak, and you've been listening to the new leadership of the Republican Party in El Paso County. Kendrick Davis, Saundra, Larsen, and Sheila Lapora, thanks so much for being on The Peak.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.
Best of luck and blessing to you. We'll be right back as we finish the program. Cool.
Was that passionate enough for
Yeah,
you?
that was good stuff. So we have a 3 minutes commercial. I got a 2-minute close. You
Yeah.
guys are done. You can stick around and we can talk a little bit, or if you have to go, we're done. The video's still going, but they'll see empty chairs. But thank you. So good.
Yeah.
Sheila?
Fair enough.
Good?
Yeah, I think so.
You did
Good.
great.
Did
Very
I?
well.
Yes.
I was
Yeah,
quiet
yeah.
most of the time.
No, but I mean, when you spoke, you
Right.
hadn't listened.
But be media savvy. Learn how to use this format. Your best chance of getting time is on radio and podcasts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So audio, knowing how to do audio well is really, really, especially with the advent of podcasts. You know, a lot of people having them.
Your guys'
Maybe you're-
mics, you sounded very deep, and we sound very mousy.
That's probably just what you're hearing.
Yeah, that's what, I was like, it sounded weird. I'm like trying to get closer to the mic. And
Sorry, I don't know. There's different headphones. I don't know. We'd have to
I thought it was
test,
something with my mic.
they're all the same type of mic. So
Okay.
it should be picking
Yeah,
this
it
up.
didn't sound well to me.
It
And
did
I only have one earphone
Okay.
working.
Oh, okay.
Do you? It's not.
Oh no, it's
is it
not the
in all the
volume.
way?
It's there's literally only this.
No, it's the connect. I'm saying it's the
I
connection.
checked it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's clean. It's in
Okay, so something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
With that adapter.
Well, this one's
Okay,
got
thank you.
It's a mouse aided or something.
The problem we go through. They actually ended up giving me my own set of headphones because the public ones were just constantly getting broken because there's so much use. So they were like, and then they get traded around. You come in, they're not here. They're just like, here's your own.
Mhm.
If you break it or lose it, you have to replace it because somehow they get abused in here. I don't know why. But.
Well, I think Ken would agree that whenever we have some upcoming event or we want to do an outreach or anything like,
Well,
you know,
I'll put out to you what I put out to everyone, is everyone can have some kind of regular segment on here because we're citizen journalists. So I've invited people, even whatever, you may have a business, you can't come on and be an ad, but of course, you always mention where you're from and your website because you created the content. So you gave us something, you get something. I mean, that's the way the world's supposed to work. So that's fine, but if you want to do some kind of regular segment or report or something like that, if it can be produced at the headquarters and sent in, or you come in here and pre-record it, or we want to come at live time just to get 4 minutes.
Well, like
so
I
you
was
could,
thinking about your
but
committees when they
it's
have
not,
them.
we put that out to everybody who's on the show. If you're a subject matter expert or you're involved, you head up an organization here, we say, monthly, you want to do a segment, give us an update. We get enough of those, we get we get a lot of news, Thank you for joining us on The Peak for our Government and Politics Tuesdays. Hope you learned a lot about the new leadership team, and if you're a Republican or thinking about it, engage with them. If you're a Democrat, engage with your party. You should know what your leadership is talking about and up to too. And if you're unaffiliated like I am, you got to pay attention because these are the leading parties. Generally, their candidates are the ones who end up in that position. And so paying attention and staying engaged is crucial. I want to do a shout out to our platinum sponsor, Springs Dentist, and Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado Springs. Especially if you're into natural health, check out Springs Dentist. They're our family dentist. Well, we air here Monday through Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m. and also on Facebook at, if you didn't know, we do Facebook and YouTube live throughout, 3 to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So we'll be back tomorrow, same peak time, same peak channel. It's Faith and Family Wednesday, and we have Jared Anderson, local worship leader and songwriter of The Great I Am, and Amazed, among others. Served for many years as part of the New Life worship team and Desperation Band. He's going to talk about worship culture, and he's actually going to play Great I Am live here in the studio. We love that when radio does that. You don't hear that so much anymore, especially on a news talk station. And then Media and Education Thursday, we have President and CEO of Divine Family Entertainment, Tammy Divine, with 30 years in the media and entertainment industry, and she's trained citizen journalists around the world, and so we're going to be talking about this citizen journalist model that we're doing here. Now stay tuned for the Larry Elder Show, coming up next on AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. And until tomorrow, you can check out our almost around 190 podcasts that we have on our podcast page on our website, thepeak.news. The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud, and with your engagement, we're saying it even louder every day for such a time as this. Shalom, y'all.